G'day, my name's Simon Angus from the Department of Economics in the Faculty of Business and Economics. I am a lecturer there and I love teaching and research in that department. Recently I was awarded a Vice-Chancellor's Citation for Excellence in Teaching. With my application, I think I was trying to have the effect on the reader that it was distinctive. And for me, that meant a combination of probably two things. One was I wanted to make it authentic. So I wanted to have as many opportunities for students or close, data to the effects of my teaching to come through. So I like to start my sections in my application with quotations directly from students that sort of set the tone or the scene. This was not my idea, it was one that I copied from Richard Buckland, a wonderful teacher at UNSW. And I thought when I read his application a few years ago, when I was just thinking about being an academic, that I thought this really does come off the page and already sets the scene really well. The second thing I think for me is that when I read something, I like it to be structured. That's partly my personality, and I want it to have some sort of common theme. So what I sought to do was to make it not only authentic, but to have some sort of theme that was introduced and then ran throughout. In my case, I guess it was a theme around innovations, and so I worked hard to make that theme and innovations, and passion run throughout the application. And I tried to make it clear to the reader exactly where they were at and what I was saying and why I was saying what I was saying at a particular point. So I guess slotting in the evidence as it came. So I think if I think about distinctive and structured were the two things that I thought would help it to be have an effect on the reader. The value of the Vice-Chancellor's Award is actually not just like the proof's in the pudding. The making of the award is actually also helpful. So for me, over time, I've realised that these sort of awards are, if you like, the end point, but the process itself is really valuable. In the field, they call it reflective teaching practices, and it does mean that as you start to actually sit down sometime one morning and think over the last few years of teaching, you start to think, why did I do those sorts of things? Or I did those sort of things for a reason. Has that had the effect I hoped it to have? And you start looking through the quotes, you start thinking about the numbers, you start thinking about the way that the literature has handled these things and whether or not it's developed when you last looked at it and things like that. And so the award itself, as you start synthesising that information, all those different inputs, really does help you to crystallise your thinking around teaching and what you've done, how you did what you did, and why it maybe worked in the way that it did. Or if it didn't work, what went wrong or what could be improved for next time. It's something that's quite hard to explain to some people. I know some colleagues from more in research-intensive background don't get the idea. They see this as just paperwork. But I've been trying to educate them and say, no, the actual writing of the award can be really helpful to make you realise that you actually love teaching, or you like teaching, or you're good at teaching, or you think through your teaching much more than you actually realised consciously. Subconsciously, you probably do these things. So there's that sort of process, which is a real value in just putting together the award application itself. And of course, the pudding is good too. So one of the outcomes from winning the award for me, has been, one is that there's sort of a train that you get into concerning the awards. The next, level of awards is the national level, the ALTC. And again, I look forward to working with the Promoting Excellence team in preparing for that in the next few months. And the other thing, is some sort of public exposure within the university, within the faculty. And that's led for me to a number of invitations to give talks or be involved in committees, or you become part of certain email lists that are helpful, people who are involved in education and teaching research, people who have the passion that you might have about teaching, people who I'd never met before actually, and probably it would have been difficult for me to find, but because of the award they found me, and that's been a really helpful and exciting thing about getting a little bit more exposure through the award, and I look forward to contributing to those groups in the future. Getting the evidence together for me was not so difficult. I'd mentioned already that I got the Dean's Award application together, which was 5 pages, and so I guess the hard work of compiling the evidence was for that. And what I'd realised a number of years ago when I'd started teaching as a very junior academic was people said to me, look, Simon, you should probably start thinking about a teaching portfolio. I said, I didn't know what that was, or what is that? And they explained it was really just putting together things in a sort of incremental or accumulative way, small things over the time of your teaching career that would contribute in the end to this sort of effort. So what I did, because I'm that kind of guy, is I set up a wiki online to do with the university, and I just used that as a place that after each semester I would put my MonQuest reports, Check reports, other things into that wiki. I would also put links that were helpful. For example, when you're trying to make a claim about how great your teaching evaluation, MonQuest reports are, it's helpful to explain that you're in a certain percentile compared to other people at the faculty or university level. To find the information on the percentiles, it's actually there, it's available, but the link is sometimes hard to find. And I know the people involved in promoting excellence are making that a lot easier. And so what I did is I stored those sort of links, I stored my reports, I also stored quotations, and I also kept a folder if people had emailed me, some of my students were kind enough to email at the end of the year or the end of semester and say they really enjoyed a course or they enjoyed something particular, then I had actually a folder which I sort of called student feedback, and I didn't have it any more folder hierarchy organised than that. It was just something that I could search later on if I was looking for a pithy quote that would support one of the claims I was making about how something had affected the students. I could pull it out. I did also one other thing, which was I taught very large subjects in my past, and I learnt that getting useful information from lots and lots of student quotes is actually quite difficult. So because I'm that kind of guy, I wrote a bit of software that would search what ended up being thousands of words of quotes for keywords, and keywords like online or Economics Now or Econ Now, which is one of the things for which the award was given, a website that I set up, and other things like that, so that it would pull them out and put under one heading all of the quotes that were relevant to that. And so I could, in the application, when I was writing something about, for example, Econ Now, I thought, oh, this is easy, and I would just go to that area, Econ Now, and I'd have 10 or 12 quotes where someone had mentioned it. Not always, though, were they perfectly glowing. People were always giving me good, helpful, constructive comments as well. But sometimes there was a quote there that I thought, yeah, that's really the kind of thing that I was hoping to get out, and the students picked that up. So I guess the evidence accumulation for me was a combination of a wiki, an organised way of doing it, a little bit of work with my email, and perhaps for me something a bit more technical with the software. But it was something about accumulating it over a long length of time.